back to Apartment 40. I'm your host, as always, Peter Rocha. Today's guest is the owner of Afterlife Reptiles. He breeds ball pythons. You can find him on Morph Market, YouTube, Instagram. Please welcome to the show, George. How's it going?
Good, Peter. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm very excited to get started.
Fantastic. Yep, thanks for coming in. Let's get into this. So we can get started. I guess what we can start off is like, where did you get started at? What got you into the hobby, into snake breeding, and getting into reptiles?
Okay. So we're starting now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You're good.
All right, sounds good. Well, it was funny. I mean, actually, the very first, I always liked reptiles, and I always thought, one day I'm gonna get like a gecko or a snake, but I was leaning more towards something like a crested gecko or something like that. Of that nature. And then one day we were just driving by, either driving or we went near the serpentarium, something like that, and we're like, okay, let's just walk inside and see what they have.
Yeah.
And then just looking around, we saw a ball python. And it was probably like a juvenile, maybe sub-adult ball python.
Just like a normal one, or?
Yeah, a normal one. And actually, they had a spider in there.
Oh, okay.
But me being, not knowing anything about genes or morphs or anything like that, I kind of didn't see the difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just saw a snake.
I just saw a snake, and so we started asking the person there. His name was Kino. We became good friends after that. I started asking about the ball pythons and everything, and he told me something about the spider gene, something about having some issues going up and down, something like that.
The wobble kind of thing.
The wobble kind of thing, yeah. So again, I didn't know what he was talking about,
yeah.
right? It just flew over me. So I was like, you know what? Maybe let's get one. But then my wife was like, no, I don't want to get a big snake.
Yeah.
We got to get something small so he can know us and I guess kind of like recognize
it.
Like raise it. Yeah, like a puppy and stuff. And I was like, all right. So we went to Petco, which is kind of a sour,
Yeah, well, I mean, as your first time getting in.
Yeah, so we go to Petco and everything, and we see this little tiny ball python, which, looking back at it, was probably like super skinny.
Malnourished and stuff.
Yeah, and we ended. Well, my wife wanted anything. Now she's the one that wanted one. I want it because it wrapped around her wrist like a bracelet, and she was just fell in love with it. Yeah, she was like, okay, we're getting one. And then I was like, all right. So then I was like, okay, then I'm getting one too. It's something that I like. And
get his and hers matching ones.
Yeah. So I went, trying to look. Because what I did catch was that there's multiple genes, right?
Yeah.
Multiple morphs. So I went to the internet and I started looking them up. And when I saw them, I was just like blown away. It was like, what? How? Like, how is it possible?
Yeah. How can like that if it's supposed to look like this? How
can like
all those different colors.
It looks nothing like it. I didn't know that was possible. And it just kind of went from there. I just kept looking at more and more genes, and I was just amazed. And my second snake that I got was a GHI butter pastel, and we just kept on going from there.
Yeah. That's gonna for everybody at home. We're gonna be saying a lot of like genes and names that the average people are gonna be like, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys are saying, but the reptile people, especially ball python people, will know what these snakes look like and what those genes mean. So what would you say? Like I said, when you first got into it. You had no idea. You were just, like I said, you saw a snake and it was just a snake. What would you say attracted you the most to sticking with ball pythons? Because that's the majority of what you guys breed at Afterlife, right?
Right, yeah.
Ball pythons.
Obviously after looking at them, I was like, okay, what else is out there, right? Mm-hmm. And I went on YouTube and I started, researching about snakes. And pretty much what you do, what are the best, snakes to get, or what are the most popular, or, and pretty much almost all of those videos, the ball python came on top.
Yeah, was in that top 5.
Yeah, it was definitely on the top, at the very top, the first, maybe the second. people seem to really like them. The temperament's great. The genes, there's an infinite, number of genes, and that's what I was.
Yeah, we can bring one up if you want to kind of check them out, just so there's people at home can know
So and then when I started researching about them, and I saw that there's like recessive genes that if you only have like half a copy of the gene,
you had to kind of work like normal. To get that.
So this will be an example of this spine, has the little like smiley faces, the emojis on the pies. They're making
those look good.
More better looking and more valuable. So that's kind of like I was blown away by that.
What would you say is your favorite part about like breeding ball pythons, or just keeping reptiles in general, like the husbandry of them?
The best part, I think they have sometimes it's very very subtle, but they all have their own personalities. Like I said, sometimes it's very very subtle, but there are certain things that each one of them I can almost guarantee they're gonna do. Right, like I have my feisty ones, and I like them to be feisty for some reason. I like her.
You just come to expect that from that snake. Yeah.
Or I have these ones that just like jump out, like they just want to be with you right away. And skittish ones, obviously very timid ones, and but like they don't have their own personalities, and I really like that about them.
That's good. What would you say would be like your least favorite part, or like the most difficult, or like when you get up in the morning, you gotta like go work with your snakes. What's the part that you're like, man, I hate having to do this?
It's not like an everyday thing or a weekly thing. It's just one of those things that it might happen, and a lot of times it's not like you could have seen it coming, but it's just when some type of illness, some type of illness, and you're always scared that it might happen to spread to your whole collection. That's a pretty scary thing right there. And when you get new snakes, obviously you gotta go through the whole process. You're introducing another snake that you're hoping, based on the reputation of the breeder that sold it to you, that there's gonna be a healthy snake.
And that's the thing, you only know, I mean, these animals live to be 20, 25 years old. You don't know, you only know the section of that snake's life when the breeder had it. So you don't know if you're getting an adult, whether hopefully they've had it their whole life, or that snake's whole life, so you know exactly like what it's been feeding, what environment it's been in. But I know I've come across some snakes that I've gotten them from somebody who got it from somebody else, and they're like, oh well, that snake's had that since as long as I've had it, and it comes to be like a respiratory infection, or it's like shed stuck or something that's if it's ignored, it can be fatal for them.
Yeah, and it's really sad. Unfortunately, I guess like in every industry, you always, obviously you're really into the hobby. You really respect the hobby. You don't want your reputation to be ruined, right? So you're gonna do everything you can to make sure that the animal's healthy before you give it to someone else.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, there is those breeders out there that they're just all about the money.
They're just trying to move animals.
And they'll sell you a snake knowing that there's something wrong with the snake, or I heard some stories about just people getting scammed out of their money. Because unfortunately you gotta trust that once you make a payment, you're gonna receive what you pay for. Right?
Yeah. On like online payments or.
Yeah, and you have the problems with heads.
Thank you.
With heads.
Those hidden genes.
Yeah, you can't see the full gene unless you pair with another one. So you're taking the breeder's word that is a head, that it has a head.
So for the people at home that don't know what a head, or what the proper name is, heterozygous, right? What that is, would you explain that for the people at home?
So as simple as it can be, just basically you have genes in the snakes, and some of those genes, when you breed them out to other snakes, they kind of like separate, and you might have, especially if you have a dad and a mom, and only the dad has that pie gene, like the one for by example, you breed them together, and you're not gonna get a pie back because the mom didn't have that gene. You only gonna get half of that gene, so you have to have the other parent with the same gene for the babies to come out with that visual gene. So that's the only way. So when you're taking a risk of buying a snake that the breeder's saying has that half gene, and you're gonna breed it to a snake that has the full gene or half the gene.
Yeah.
So the babies come out with the full gene. You're taking a gamble. You're trusting that it does have the gene because you can't see it.
Have you ever had a personal experience with that going on where you've been kind of scammed out of a het snake or a het reptile?
I haven't personally. I usually try to when I'm gonna get into something that is het, I try to go for visual stuff. That's what I will trust. If it's a breeder that I don't know or is not respected breeder out there, I'll go for something that I can see the visual. Unless I know it's a respected breeder or someone else that I know has vouched for that breeder, then I'll take that risk. Which I have. I have some girls right now that have, that het gene.
Yeah. Okay. So they haven't bred out yet.
We'll see this year. Yeah, they're actually they're my bigger girls, which I didn't bring because they're breeding right now.
Yeah. Oh, they're gravid or they're.
Yeah. Okay. So they're going through that whole process. So
fantastic.
I didn't want to stress them out.
Yeah. No, don't want to ruin those babies. What kind of projects are you working on right now? Like, what do you got going on?
So,
in the incubator?
In the incubator, nothing. Everything is hatched out, and I think I only have like 2 babies left.
Oh, nice.
Actually, I have 3, but I have 1 that I'm keeping. But this will be some that I'm gonna work on next year. This right here is a clown, one of the most famous, if not probably the most famous gene, the clown, along with the enchi, and we're working with other genes for
you trying to express that clown gene more?
Yeah. So again, I know that probably watching this, I don't know.
Yeah,
they're probably like
that looks like a snake.
Yeah, but
it looks different than the last one.
Yeah, but definitely the clown gene is one of the most impressive genes out there that a lot of people love working with. But it's a gamble when you work with it. You don't know what's gonna work. What gene. It's gonna look good.
Patterns.
Yeah,
and that's what I find is what's fascinating with ball pythons, and there's a couple other reptiles that have the ability, but not to the extent that ball pythons do, to where the morphs or the genetic mutations in it affect anything from the color of the eyes to the color of the snake to the pattern of the snake. It just, like, when you say that the possibilities are like limitless, that's not exaggerating.
There's so many morphs out there, and so many morphs that people are working on, new genes. And one of the other things that I was just completely blown away was like I said, obviously I didn't get into this, initially for I want to make money with them. I mean, I didn't know anything. But what I came to find out was, when some of these genes come out, such as the coral glow or the clown gene or the pie gene, back in the day they were going for tens of thousands of dollars for a single hatchling, and I was like, what? Incredible. I heard
these snakes can go for.
I heard stories, and you just hear from other reputable breeders stories about people getting scammed of over $100,000
for like trying to buy like
for a new gene. For a new gene, trying to get their hands on it, be the first ones to get their hands on it.
I read there's a book called The Lizard King. I forgot who it's by, but it was about the early, like, either the 70s or 80s when the reptile hobby was first getting started, and how they would smuggle the animals in. It was all about the smuggling ring.
Right.
And they were talking about how people would go down to the docks when these ships would come in and meet up with these people in like alleys somewhere, and they're dealing snakes, and they're exactly, it's like the craziest thing, and the whole story is about how, and it's not stories, it really happened. You can look up these cases and stuff, but about this dude who's smuggling. He's down in Florida. I forget the name. He owns like a like Mac Reptiles, like a big reptile distributor like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was basically the cat and mouse game between him and the fish and game warden in Florida that was like chasing him throughout, trying to figure out how he's getting these snakes. But yeah, people were meeting in alleys, buying a snake that just looks like a regular ball python, but they're like, oh, there's this chance it could be like this, it has this mutation or something. And it's like a drug deal for some of these animals, but that's how much money's in this hobby.
Yeah, there's people that are purely on for that.
Yeah.
Right. There's no denying it. That there's people that are purely into that. They'll have people, because obviously you need permits and stuff to go out where these animals are native and bring them out, and they'll look at the patterns and see, okay, maybe it looks like this one has something going on, and they'll sell them out to big breeders out here in the U.S. and they'll buy them by bulk, and it's it's bittersweet because it's exciting to see a new gene. But also,
you're taking something out of the wild.
And and they're shipped out of here, and they ship them out by the dozens, and some of them don't make it.
They're not treated well. It's not like if you who's passionate about the habit, who loves these animals, they're not treated.
Yeah, so it's a little bit infuriating, But it's bittersweet for sure.
It's amazing to see like how a lot of these genes started out like that, where it's just like one little tweak in something that looked normal. It was like, because the normal one has, the crown look, the circles, what turned out to be the clown might have been something that, those circles look a little bit more bolder than a normal one, or that pattern looks a little bit thinner or a little bit darker. It's like that little difference is what created something that, has a solid straight down its back, or has white when the snake's supposed to be brown and black.
There is some absolutely incredible. I mean, I can only imagine, the people that have had those experiences where, okay, this one kind of like has something going on here, and then it's a waiting process because you gotta wait for it to be breeding size, and then pair it with something normal, something that's not gonna disturb the gene so much, so that you can still tell if there is something really going on or not, and then wait for those babies to grow, and then pair them back to the original one, and see if a super gene comes out or something like that. And I can only imagine the people, like, for instance, I don't know if you're familiar with the scaleless gene.
Scaleless, in the rat snake. It started out with rat snakes, right?
Absolutely. Well, I don't know if it started with another gene, but another snake. I'm sorry. But with the ball pythons, someone noticed. I was like, man, this one's missing.
Like just one scale.
One or two scales of something from their head, and instead of thinking, to someone normal, you would say, like, damn, okay, he came out with no.
Yeah, or like, oh, that snake's weird, like.
But then you wait the whole process, and you pair the babies back to it, and boom, here comes out this snake with no scales.
At all, like just,
no scales at all, and it's just like, wow, like
And that's a gamble, that's time, that's money feeding that snake, heating that snake, keeping that thing alive, stressing about. Because I feel like every individual snake has gone through, even as people, as humans, you'll get sick every now and then. And I know not everything I've kept has gotten sick, but something's happened somewhere. Either to me, I know I had a pied like that who got a cyst one time. I had like a little cyst that he needed surgery because the pied genes, and this is like probably 4 or 5 years ago when every year that gene pool or that morph gets less and less value because there's a little more out there.
Yeah.
So this is back when it was, I dropped like $500-$600 for this one snake, and that was on Craigslist. Like that was a deal. I wasn't getting it from like a.
that sounds like a really good deal.
Yeah, and so I was like, well, I'm not gonna let this thing go. I'll go to the vet. I'll get its stupid surgery. He had like stitches right here for like 2 weeks. I was like, this stupid snake. It was cool. I loved it, and I really wish I kept it. I really wish I stayed into ball pythons.
It's a struggle. It's definitely a struggle. There's not only, it's not just about, let me get another snake. Where are you gonna keep that snake? Mm-hmm. I'm one of the breeders, and I have nothing against someone doing it differently, But me personally, I'm one of the breeders that I'll go for the high-end stuff just because I want it to be as comfortable as it can be, and I want it to make it easier on myself. So I'll go for your big high-end racking systems.
Like the series.
Yeah, because a lot of people, again, nothing against that. I started like that, and I didn't like it. They'll just keep them in regular tubs and with
like shoe boxes, a strip of heat
whatever they can, Yeah, but and it's money. It's a lot of money.
It's
extreme. The equipment is extremely expensive. Yeah.
I mean, just to keep one individual. I mean, that's what like my buddy who's getting into breeder drags. He has his one. And he talks about like feeding it and heating it. I'm like, and now he got his second one. I'm like, you want babies? It's only gonna get more.
Oh yeah.
It's expensive to just keep reptiles, and then to breed them is just.
Yeah, that's another whole different animal. Trying to find food, even finding the food, like enough food for your reptiles, is sometimes challenging. They run out of food. The breeders that specialize in them.
Yeah.
So you gotta breed your own. You gotta make that decision if you're gonna breed on your own.
That's why I got dubias. I mean, like I said, I only feed tarantulas. I mean, they're only eating like one dubia that's like that big, once a week. But like I know hopefully at some point I'll have a bunch of slings. I'll have bigger, animals, and I would like to be able to sell feeders because, like you said, like there's a huge market in feeders. I know you were talking about pet rats earlier. There's a huge market in things that are associated with, reptiles. I know when I used to. I don't know if have you ever been, like to a reptile show or yeah. Have you ever been able to vend at one like sell stuff at it?
No, we were planning to this year, and then COVID happened. Yeah.
Well, I was able to do the Pleasanton, or I think it's the San Jose Reptile Show, where I was able to vend, and I had a couple leopard geckos in my sand boas, but one of my buddies, Brent, he's supposed to be on a podcast at some point, but he's the reptile guy over at Carter's Pet Mart. That the white guy, he's got the beard.
Okay.
I saw him at a reptile show, and we see each other all the time. But he's like, the way people make money in this isn't the $500-$600 snakes. That's only a one-time purchase. It's all the equipment. It's the feeders. It's the heating. It's all the other stuff that it takes to keep that animal, not just the animal. And I feel like that's stuff people don't realize when they're getting into it. Is how much it costs to run that.
Yeah, that was my experience as well. At first we were spending so much in trying to feed our snakes, and we didn't have that many. Probably once I started, like, oh wow, I probably had like 10 snakes.
When you decided, like, oh, I'm gonna start breeding these guys.
I saw how much it was costing me weekly to feed them, and then you have the instances when you spend like $5 to $7 on a feeder and they won't eat it.
Yeah, what are you gonna do with this?
Which are ball pythons are known for being picky. That they won't eat, and now you have a rat that you can still freeze, right? But then you get one more chance, and sometimes they don't like frozen stuff.
Yeah, and then
frozen thawing. Yeah.
Now you got a dead rat.
So you gotta make that decision. And what I came to find out once we made that decision of, okay, you know what, we're gonna breed our own rats for our reptiles. A whole nother market opens up of not only people that need feeders too, but then I came to find out that rats have genes too, and all that different stuff, and that people love rats, and this is one of them right here, and this is as you can see, very, very calm, and that's because this is one of our pet breeder lines.
Okay.
Yeah, and these guys have paid for most of my stuff.
Really? The rats are basically funding the reptiles?
They have paid for my racks. They have paid for a lot of my snakes. They pay for their own rack. Their own rack for my rats was about $3,000.
Wow.
$3,000 for a rack for my rats.
That's crazy.
And like I said, because I like.
Yeah, you're gonna.
I like them to be comfortable and easy for me to clean and keep them well and everything, and huge market. It's crazy what you find out while you're doing this.
Yeah. So sorry for the technical difficulty, but so you said that you discovered that rats have genes too. That there's this huge market for pet rats. When you're keeping them at home, do you is there like special care or like special things you do with your pet rats that are separate from your feeder rats, or have you like kind of moved away from feeder rats? Or
it's more of a gene thing, the way that they're separated.
Okay.
Because my wife knows more about that way more than me. But basically, you have your regular, what they call hooded rats, and that's mainly what we use for our reptiles. And then we have the more high end stuff, which is the Martin gene and the spotted tabby, I think they call it. And we have hairless rats. They're completely hairless. They're super cool.
Dang, I wonder what.
Yeah,
I mean, rats already look. And my dad, he's gonna be watching this. He's like terrified of rats.
Really?
He grew up on East Side Stockton, and they used to, when he was a kid, they grew up in a trailer, and so when they go to bed at night, East Side's like just infested with rats. So he would go to bed, and he said he could feel them like running across you.
No.
And he's like, I hate their hands and their tails. He's like, ugh. So I was like, when I saw you bring on the rat, I'm like, I can't wait till he watches this. This is gonna be great.
Yeah, you have and then I found out, that they're so smart. They're so smart, and I have rats in there that are just like straight pets, and they're gonna stay there until they die. Like, we just play with them and interact with them, and they're like super cool. So I see again, people that give a little bit of a bad name, or people that don't like that. People kind of like being a little bit cruel to the rats just because they're gonna feed them off, and I don't it doesn't. I believe, and I actually made a video about it too. Where you should be nice to your rats.
Yeah.
It's just easier when you have nice rats. Even for your reptiles, they're more likely to eat, because ball pythons, like I said, they're really picky, and they get scared and they're like, okay, that's it, I'm not eating.
Yeah.
And you when you have an aggressive rat,
And there's been some times. I mean, I've never had an experience, but I'm sure there's the photos out there on the internet.
Yeah.
Where there's been rats that have like eaten
Mm-hmm.
the ball pythons, and
Mm-hmm.
You think like, oh, it's a snake. Of course, it's gonna eat the rat. It's like, no, these aren't those kind of snakes. And on top of that, like, these are big rats, and they can do some damage.
Man, I have two comments on that. It happened to me probably twice. Where, and I've since changed, the way that I feed, but where I forgot a rat the whole night, the whole day, and then when I went to check, make sure that no one regurgitated or anything like that, everything's fine. Go to check on the rats in there, and I completely forgot. You
just see them moving around already. You're just like, oh.
But the thing about my rats, so calm, they're just chilling there.
Yeah.
Not bothering the snake, no nothing. They're just chilling in there, basically, like, okay, this is my home now.
Yeah.
And then I heard this guy, and I started to say, but I denied a sale based on that. But he said that he had a rat problem in his house.
Oh, and he was buying a snake.
So no, he decided to throw a ball python under his house.
What?
Yeah, and he said that he never saw a ball python. He still has rats. I mean, yeah, that ball python probably became food.
Yeah, for sure.
And is that
if it survived, depending on when.
If it survived, and ball pythons are not native to to here.
Yeah.
So even if the rats didn't chew him out,
Yeah, he's not.
He's probably not gonna make it. So I was like, you know what? If people, I think people should be responsible and do their due diligence and do the research of the snake. Just because it's a snake doesn't mean that it's gonna kill every rat that comes across.
And not every snake is the same. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not how it works.
That's something that's very big in this hobby. Is that like, it's not just like, oh yeah, I keep snakes, or like, oh yeah, I keep reptiles. It's like, no, I keep ball pythons, I keep leopard geckos, I keep sambos. Like, I noticed there's a lot of, I guess it's called like tribalism, but like the ball python people kind of stay with the ball python people, and the leopard gecko people kind of stay with leopard. They'll dabble in between, but it's like, this is my stuff.
There's definitely a preference. Only like big time breeders usually. Even some people that are like really, really big in the industry, they just stick to ball pythons. You're right about that. Yeah.
What so how many animals in total do you have? I know, like you said, you started out with 10 when you first decided, like, all right, this is my breeding group. How big has it gotten now?
Well, now that all the hatchlings are gone, I only have 38 right now.
Only 38?
Only 38.
Yeah.
Here's the funny thing. I have another 40 tub rack coming. So
really?
I'm planning on filling it up
like a
with
whole
girls.
double the collection.
Yeah, double the collection basically for this coming year. Yeah. I want to, like I said, you see all those jeans and you just want to get them all.
Yeah, just line them on the whole.
I like Pokemon.
Yeah, right.
Gotta have them.
Gotta collect every one. I mean, that's how I felt when I was breeding leopard geckos. Cause like my ball pythons are leopard geckos. Cause I think if in the lizard world they're like the color pattern. They're the crazy patterns, colors that you can get into. I
haven't really dug into it but I saw some geckos. I'm like, what the heck is that?
Yeah.
They look amazing, and I think that's just what gets me. Seeing all those colors and patterns and the eyes, and oh man, it's just beautiful.
It's amazing what like nature can do, and it's that's nothing we have, and on an individual basis too, like per animal, like that. You can have two clowns, like you said, you can have two clowns, but just because they have the same exact genetics, they can be from the same clutch.
Mm-hmm.
They're not gonna look the same when it comes to their pattern.
You know what else someone said that I didn't think about until I heard it is when you have a German Shepherd, dogs, people love dogs. They're probably the most popular pet out there, right?
It's a dog.
Yeah, and you have your German Shepherd and you put it with a a pit bull. You get all these puppies, right? Mixes of the parents. Once you have a dog that has the pit bull and the German Shepherd gene, you're never gonna get them out of there.
Yeah, you can mix them, you can't separate.
You can't separate them. You're gonna breed them out. You're never gonna get a pure German Shepherd again, right? With snakes, that's not the case. You can have a snake that has 5 genes. You breed it to something, and out come.
Snakes
you can have every single gene, 1, 2, 3, and then you breed those out, and they can just separate them out. Yeah, and that is so cool.
That's fascinating when it comes to reptiles like that. Because you know what? Now that you said that, that's something I did not think about.
Yeah, right.
It's like, because are you talking about like the Morph Market calculator? I like kind of messing around with that just to see like the possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if I took this and mix it with this? And they'll give you like the I forgot what it's called, but like the little chart that shows you the probability of like what's what. And
your odds.
Yeah, they have every single gene. It's like there's a chance you can mix these two snakes that have 5 genes, in between both of them, and pop out like just a normal. It just looks like
a normal.
Like a normal snake. It's like, what the heck?
Yeah. That's something cool about that too.
That's so when you're in sorry, I'm like stumbling on my question. When it comes to the business side of your breeding program or your brand, it's Afterlife Reptiles, right? Mm-hmm. So of Afterlife Reptiles, what do you find is the most difficult part about like getting your brand out there, getting your you as a recognizable breeder for someone to be like, oh yeah, no, if you want a snake, go to Afterlife Reptiles.
That's a good question. I think there's got to be something, and that's something that I'm hoping to, or I know I'm going to do, which is any reputable breeder out there, anybody that you say nerd, or you say Brian Barczyk, or Mutation Creation, something like that, and other breeders are like, oh yeah, I know who you're talking about,
like
right?
When you said Brian Barczyk,
you know right away who you're talking about, right? And I think all of them started with that 1 or 2 genes that put them out there. See, in this hobby, unfortunately, a lot of people, they will see something and they will say, okay, I'm gonna make that, and they will see something else. Oh, I want to make that too, which is fine. I want to do that too. There are some genes out there like, oh, I gotta have that, right? But one of the key things that I think that you have to do is, what separates you? What do you do in the hobby that was different from everyone else?
That's not that. That's where
that is not out there.
You want to be that person that they see. It's like, oh, I want to make that. It's like, well, yeah, I'm the dude that made it.
I want to do that. I want to get to do what Justin Kabilka is doing. Mm-hmm. That guy is amazing. He thinks outside the box, and he thinks, I don't know how he does it, but he's like, okay, this gene and this gene and this gene is probably gonna look amazing, and he does it, and it takes so much patience to get there,
Yeah.
But he has put out some incredible looking jeans that everyone recognizes, the Batman and the Pompeii and things like that, and they're just absolutely stunning snakes to see. And that's what I want, I want to, and the crazy thing is that he did it with jeans that were already out there.
Just plain jeans. He's mixing in a way that people haven't mixed before.
Yeah, they haven't mixed before, that they didn't think, because everybody's chasing after what someone's already done. The majority of people, and he didn't do that. He went a completely different route, and now those jeans that he made popular by making that Batman, those jeans just skyrocketed. They went from being like one of the most common cheapest jeans. He turns it around, and everybody wants them. Now,
yeah.
They go for so much because they're trying to get into that project now.
Yeah, they want to be. Yeah, there's a guy, and man, it goes back to like leopard geckos. Like I said, there's a dude who's in Fresno. I hope I don't botch his Instagram name, but it's Golden Valley Geckos or Golden Valley Reptiles. I think it's Golden Valley Geckos.
Mm-hmm.
But he started like a fire gene. He was naming it like a fire gene or like a blood gene for leopard geckos. And normally these lizards are like yellow and black and spotted. Every seen what a common leopard gecko looks like.
Okay.
I got some of his early work where they were like this, or maybe a little bit darker than this orange. I guess that's the only orange we have, but a little bit darker than that. And I think I paid like $75 for it, right? And it was a female, and I look back at pictures, or I'll show people pictures when I was into reptiles. They're like, oh, I like that one. I was like, oh, that one's your best one. And I look at his project now that he has, and these geckos are almost red, like just crazy looking geckos that I kick myself because I'm like, I had a piece of that. I could have been that.
Yeah, right.
It's like, I had a really dark. They're called Murphy's patternless, and they turn out to be gray. Actually, almost like this kind of gray. But these were like the base prints for what's called the Black Knight, and it's like a solid black leopard gecko, which it looks just jet black. They're called the Black Knights or the Black Pearls, depending. The Black Pearls have white bellies still, but black backs, and then Black Knights are solid blacks. And it's like I had some of the basics of it, some like really dark Murphy's patternless that through work you can get to that.
And you could have been the one.
I could have been the one.
You could have been the one.
Like, every time. So now with tarantulas, I'm hoping I don't miss up. Miss a gene opportunity. But there's nothing really like that with tarantulas. There's no morph pattern. There's no pattern mutations or color mutations. And I don't know genetically like why that. I haven't done enough research. I'm not that far into it yet. But I think that's the one thing that keeps calling me to like go back to reptiles. Is like all the colors. Look at all these beautiful colors you can pick from. I just turned that closet. It was like all my fishing gear and stuff, but just solid reptiles now. It's got my dubias in there. It's got like a permanent heating pad so I can heat up the whole closet. And I'm waiting to get an extension cord so I can move like my incubator in there. But I was like, I don't know if I want to go ball pythons, geckos, but we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see what you got going on.
Yeah, so that's definitely my dream. I think that's gonna put you on the map faster than anything else out there. No matter how much you put. I mean, obviously you can push your brand and come up with some marketing stuff out there on social media, but I think that's gonna get you noticed right away. It's something new, something new that you put out there that is your own. You're the first one. Everybody's gonna want it. Everybody's gonna want it. Everybody's gonna, at the very least, wish they had it.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah. When you said you're like striving for that, do you have like something that I used to see, or what I would do when I'm shooting for something new is I'll like see an animal or an individual, and I'd be like, I here's something that kind of might look like, and I'll have it in my head. And while I'm breeding, I'm trying to get closest to that image as possible. Is that kind of what you're doing? Is like trying to match a picture you have in your head, or are you just looking for something that's like something different, and you're like, oh, I bet you that could be something?
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things that I will look, obviously you have to look at what's out there, right? You have to look at, what certain genes do. You want to first try to figure out what do you like? What kind of patterns do you like, right? Spider is one of the most common but crazy patterns out there in the ball pythons, you know. If not the crazy, I don't think that there's anything that mixes the genes so much like spiders. Like that, So that's one thing. What kind of pattern you want? You want to go dark, you want to go bright, you know, and then you start thinking, okay, what kind of pattern do I want? What gene does that I want? What kind of enhancing gene is going to get me to that bright snake that I want, or that dark snake that I want? You know, and like I said, you know, and I keep going back to Justin because he's one of the guys that I admire. He's probably like one of my favorite breeders, and because of that, because he sees that vision, and by the time that everyone's chasing that thing that he did, he's already got the next thing coming out, right? So, and that's basically what he does. He sees, okay, I want this dark snake, but I wanted to bring out this reds or oranges and things like that, and you start mixing, right? And it's a trial and error. Sometimes
you're gonna mess up. You're gonna have a lot of extra snakes.
Yeah, and another thing is the odds. Yeah. You know, like you say in the calculator, sometimes you have 3% odds that you're gonna get what you want
on that first go. Yeah.
On that first go,
or on every go, actually.
3%.
Yeah.
You know, because you're talking about, you know, once you go above 3 genes, you know, you get to what you really mix, and your odds just keep dropping dramatically every time that you add another gene.
Especially when you're adding those genes that tend to be a little bit more dominant.
Yeah. And can you imagine if you don't? The thing is that if you don't get it on your first try, you gotta wait a whole year to try again. So you better get maybe a couple or more snakes on that project. But now you're holding other projects, right?
Yeah.
So it's fun. It's fun.
Investment, I guess.
Yeah.
You have to plan on what you're, like you said, what you're going, what pattern you like, what color are you going for.
There's luck out there too. There's definitely luck. There's been breeders out there. One of the genes that I have, the het red accentic. I know that the guy was can't remember exactly the story, but I know that the guy just noticed something odd with one of the snakes. It looked darker. It had different things than the other ones. So what did he do? He decided to hold it. Hold the whole back. I think he held back everything. You know, held back everything. Yeah. And waited for the snake to be ready again. Out comes out this red accentic gene, brand new gene, and it completely messes up every gene. Like it.
Oh, him trying to mix it with something?
Yeah, he started mixing things. It was the name's a little bit confusing to readers because it has the name het on it, but it's not really a het.
It's not a heterozygous gene, but the name of the gene has het.
Has het. So a lot of people get confused by that. It's very, very confusing. I was confused by it when I first, But you can see it. You can see you have the super form of the gene, right? And but just to have the gene, it makes some crazy stuff. Completely jumbles up the plant, completely changes colors and dominates the other genes. And he obviously started mixing it with everything he had. Everything he had. Everything he had. But it was just luck that he happened to have. Well, luck. Yeah. And a good eye at recognizing, the difference, the little subtle, the very subtle thing in there. Yeah, and one can only dream of going through that, right?
Like you said, there's a huge amount of luck when it comes to that. I mean, how many eggs are in a ball python clutch normally?
Usually, that's another thing. Usually, an average is 6.
6. Okay.
6. That's the average.
So you got to think. So if I only have 3% per egg to make this gene happen, I only got 6 of them on this 1 year. Like you got the amount. I mean, what's even crazier is I'll think about that with leopard geckos. Again, tying it back to what I used to do is leopard geckos only have 2 eggs, per clutch. But luckily you'll get like 2 or 3 clutches a year. So it'll even out to be about 4 to 6 eggs. But yeah, only 2 eggs at a time. Just that's it. So and most of the time they come out the exact same. Like I was trying to breed something called Murphy snow or a Mac snow,
mm-hmm.
And they're white, so it's like an axanthic. It's a resuscitation of the red color in them.
Mm-hmm.
So it turns them white, but it keeps the black. So it's a white and black lizard, and it looks like like a snow or like a something wintry. But I was trying to get something where it was. I kept having babies that would pop out that have like a solid dot right here, and with juvenile leopard geckos, is they come out banded, like striped. Mm-hmm. But as they get older, those stripes start breaking up and they turn into spots. So that's how they get their spots. But they kept having ones that just had a big old spot right here. And so I just kept producing. And every time the spot would break up, but it would stay together a little bit more. And luckily, because they come out in twos like that, and they kind of tend to be the same, I haven't had a clutch where one baby pops out orange and the other one pops out like gray. And I'm like, well, how'd that happen? They tend to come out the same, so that's what helped if you're going for something. But if you're trying to mix it up, you're like, why are you keep coming out the exact same every time? It makes it difficult.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's something that's different, especially in the reptile hobby, is different from species to species.
Yeah.
The problems that we have, probably bearded dragon breeders don't have, or frog, dart frog breeders probably have a whole bunch of other problems that we wouldn't imagine.
Yeah.
But what would you say is the hardest part about keeping, or we'll go to that, because you're a ball python breeder. Your goal or your business is to get animals out there to sell pets and hopefully other breeders. For someone that's just getting into a ball python, they want to get it from you. What would be your advice on how to take care of this? How to take them home? How would you set them up?
For husbandry, for how
or
so like say, what to do? Or I guess I will go back to one of pretty much everybody does. If I could go back, I would do this, right? If I could go back, or whoever wants to start, is be patient and do your research. Be patient and do your research.
Now, when you say do your research, that's not just like watching a YouTube video here or there. What would you recommend the kind of footwork people would do?
Well, here's one of the things. When I started with reptariums. That's one thing, right? That's the most common thing that you're gonna have when you have a reptile. You get a reptarium in an aquarium, right? And you put it in there. And it's hard to know too, because you don't. I didn't know that I was gonna end up getting another 30. Right? Yeah, I had no idea. Can you imagine having 30 reptariums in my room or something like that? Which is why rack systems are so convenient. But that's one thing. Think about it. Is that something that you want to do? Do you want to breed them or not? And then go from there. Obviously, if you just want a snake, then I know plenty of people that have 10-year-old snakes that are normals and they're perfectly happy with them. They love them, and that's it. That's good. That's good enough for them. But if you want to do it as a breeding or as a business, hobby, whatever it is, do your research and be patient. Because it's a lot. When you think, you say, I'm going to pay $2,000 for a rack, $2,500, $2,700, $3,000 for a rack. And you think, oh my God, that's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. But if you compare it to a terrarium, it's way cheaper than getting 10, 20, 30, 40 reptariums, right? That's one thing. So that's one of the things that I wish I knew. And another thing for the snake part is, don't be over impressed with one gene. Anyone that's doing this for a while now realizes that it's a lot better to get a 5-gene male than to get a 1-gene male. Because if you breed your 1-gene male to a girl, even a normal or a 1-gene, you're gonna get snakes with 2 genes. Which is.
It's just better. You got more genes to work with.
Yeah. You're gonna spend a lot more money on that 5-gene snake, thousands of dollars, possibly, but you're gonna save, instead of getting 5 snakes, you're getting only 1, or one that has 6 genes instead of getting 6 snakes, and you're gonna save on space. And when you breed it, you can breed that one snake to 3. I've known people that have bred them to 5 females. So you got 5 females, you got 1 male with multiple genes, and here come out all these babies with different,
different colors,
mixes and things like that. Yeah. So you instead of having to have, like I said, 10 places for your snakes, you only need one, or your females do. But that's one of the things that I wish I knew, because now I have that situation and it's hard because you have your snakes that you started with, that you fell in love with.
They have some sentimental value.
Yeah, you have some sentiment, but they just don't fit into your breeding plans anymore. So you face that difficult decision to, am I gonna keep the snakes for 20 plus years?
Yeah.
Or
and
I'm gonna have a heartbreak and get rid of. And I have snakes that I'm keeping that are not very valuable. I have a snake that turns out it had the spider gene. I had no idea. It was completely hidden. It was very well hidden in the snake.
Yeah.
You could never tell. And he has a very serious neurological wobble and corkscrewing.
Yeah, or for the people that don't know what a wobble is when it comes to ball pythons, the spider gene, which is just the name that they give the pattern, this gene is associated with a neurological disorder that causes balance impairing, probably visual problem, just a lot of
stargazing. They call it one of the things that they do. They just sit there and they just kind of stare into the distance. Yeah, they're just completely gone, and it's a huge topic of discussion of people, wanting to ban the gene. But
the leopard geckos have a gene very, very similar to that, called the, and I hope I get it right because it's one or the other, but I'm pretty sure it's the eclipse gene, and it's a color mutation of the eye, but a pattern mutation of the eye, because they have this kind of speckly looking eye, but you can breed them to where they have a solid red eye or half and half, but it's another mutation. But it's associated with stargazing and neurological disorder. And if you breed those two together, the babies come out
lethal.
Dead. Yeah, it's lethal.
That's the spider gene too.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's probably the exact same. When you get down to a microscopic, protein and enzyme, what's the building blocks behind this disorder? It's probably the exact same disorder. We just have, as a hobby, we just have different names for it.
Yeah, and like I said, we have that male, and I'm never getting rid of it. I mean, people wouldn't think twice about getting that snake, But to me, like I said, and I guess that will be one of the instances where actually it will be my wife, because she's the one that went to get it, but we were taken advantage of, because we didn't know. Yeah. And we didn't know about that wobble. And when she got him, he was perfectly still, he wasn't moving or anything like that. But then later on, once he became excited about food, or he just wanted to
just look around,
that's when it was, whoa, what is going on here?
And these snakes, if you guys have never seen a snake with a wobble, it's you think a snake's supposed to go like this, and these dudes are just
they'll
they have no motor function.
Yeah, but the surprising thing about him is, that he's such a good eater.
Really?
He has food in there, or you put food in front of his face, he's like freaking Terminator.
What disorder? I don't know.
Wham! Right, spot on
on
the target, and he's huge because of that. And I think that's one of the things about spiders, that they're such good eaters.
Yeah.
For some reason, but yeah, that's one of the ones that we'll never get rid of. But again, that's one of the things that you gotta consider if you get that one snake that is not as valuable anymore. Mm-hmm. What are you gonna do?
So since we're kind of coming towards the end of the show, I know you brought a special guest. Now I don't know if you want for your wife to come back to handle this, or did you want? I could go over there help you out, then we could bring her over here.
It's probably gonna be just a quick look at her.
Okay. Well, you know what? We can probably take one of these. I'll probably take the GoPro. We'll turn her around and we'll kind of show her over there. Just because also there's a bunch of stuff trying to squeeze her back.
Yeah, because if you know her kind, they just like to go all over the place once they're out.
Yeah. So we'll just swing around. We'll go ahead and take a look at her right now.
All right.
But why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about what's going to be in here?
So this is something that I eventually want to get more into, which is reticulated pythons.
Okay.
And this is my one girl that's probably gonna be ready to breed next year.
So she's gonna be big, right?
She's gonna. I mean, if you compare it to some of the
other snakes you got,
they're pretty massive. I mean, so she's impressive, but she's still
She's got some growing to do?
Yeah, she still got some growing to do for sure.
All right, well.
Especially I got her from a guy that couldn't keep her anymore, and he wasn't feeding her right. You know what they need to be fed.
Well, based on having to carry her up here, it feels like you're feeding her well. She's very heavy. So I probably shouldn't be hitting this, getting her all excited
she's probably gonna be very calm right now. Once she comes out, that's when she starts. And just watch her face. You never know unless you have like a really, really nice retake. You never know what's gonna happen. How they're gonna react.
Oh, so she's a. Ooh,
there we go. Yeah, so she doesn't look happy.
I did not know she was gonna be that. I thought you were gonna have like a lavender. Ooh, easy. Woo!
Yeah, she is not.
She's not happy. I should probably not have been smacking the top. All right. Well, I hope that got on camera. That was awesome.
That unfortunately, one of the things that I should have brought was my hook.
Oh yeah.
I didn't bring my hook, so it's gonna be very, very.
Well,
hard.
we can look at her from a distance. My heart is racing now, because like I said, I've been bit by snakes. I've had.
I don't want to be bit.
I've not been bit by something this big. But I mean, I'm sure if you got her out, she'd be ginormous, at least in length. But how long do you think she is?
She's probably hitting 15 feet right now.
15 feet.
Yeah, and a lot of that is under her, so that's why you can't see.
So now normally they don't look like this in the wild, or like
no.
What's her mutation, or what's her pattern? Or
she's definitely not a normal girl. She's what they call a golden child.
A golden child, okay.
And right now, being here in the dark, you can't see it very well, but
let me see if I can get
still see the iridescence on her.
One of these lights over here. And she doesn't even like the light. So
right now she's just usually once you get them out, they're perfectly fine. But right now she doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't have my hook, so it's gonna, and you can see here.
Yeah,
she just stares at you and stares at me. They're very, very smart. They're very, very smart.
So that was awesome. Friggin' almost getting struck. She's a beautiful, beautiful snake. You said the golden child, right? That's what gives her that like kind of solid color look.
Golden child is what makes her that black, have that iridescence.
Which I really hope the GoPro picked it up, because I mean here in person, you can see it looks like an oil stain almost.
You should see her out in the sun. It's unbelievable, unbelievable. But yeah, she at least has that golden child gene, and then hopefully she has something else in there. That's the thing with these genes, you never know.
Yeah, until you see them. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. Well, I hope the best of luck to you when it comes to those guys, and definitely be careful. And, I can only imagine getting.
Don't mess around with retakes if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of snake to be
handling. They will mess you up. They can definitely kill you at that size.
There's been stories too where
they can hurt you very easily if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, George, thank you so much for coming in. I'll be sure to let people check out Afterlife Reptiles.
Thank you.
If you want to let the people know where they can find you, as far as like if you have a website, I know I found you on Morph Market. But like as far as your Instagram, Twitter, anything, just go ahead and let the people know what you got going on and where they can find you.
Okay, well, like you said, we're Afterlife Reptiles. My name is George, and you can find us on YouTube. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're on Morph Market under the same name, Afterlife Reptiles. And right now we don't have a lot, out there for you. But this coming year, hopefully we're gonna have a lot of things that you can get your hands on if you want.
So fantastic. Thank you, George, so much for coming in.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.